The Color of Your Eyes, written by Blackcatsassin, read by gutterratt1213. Chapter 41, Past. Jake sat down on the floor, placing his hands behind his head as he looked down. Lilly bit her lips, looking genuinely regretful of what had just happened. Hannah sighed and went to lock her entrance door before coming back, scolding her little sister. "Really smart, Lilly. You couldn't have picked a better time for our parents to tell them about Jake." Lilly crossed her arms. "You know how Dad looked at Jake as if he was some kind of hobo living under the bridge? I couldn't let that slide. Jake is our brother and an honorable person. I won't let him get treated like that, not even by Dad." Hannah looked back at the door where their parents had just disappeared. Richy was still munching in the background. "Yeah, but Mom deserved a better moment." "As if there is any moment that makes Mom feel better about the news of Dad having a son with someone else." Lilly shook her head.
Excuse me for interrupting?"
Everyone turned back to Richy, who was now coming out of the kitchen, seemingly done eating his sandwich.
"Just out of curiosity, how were the circumstances in which Jake, came to be? You guys keep talking as if Nathan, your dad, cheated on your mom. Maybe it wasn't like that at all?"
3 curious pairs of eyes now fell on Jake, who leaned his head against the wall behind him. He was deep in his thoughts.
"I asked my mom about it, where my father was, who he was, why he wasn't with us. I asked her many, many times. Only later, before her death, did she reveal his name. Nathan Donfort from Duskwood. She met him at a small music festival that was held here many years ago. She said she had a brief affair with him, in which he told her back then that he was single. Only a week after he was with my mom did he get a call from another woman. He left my mother right after that call. He ended their relationship. My mother pleaded for him not to leave her, but he said his heart had always belonged to someone else. My mother was crushed. A month later, she found out that she was pregnant. She looked for Nathan Donfort after I was born. She found his address here in Duskwood, along with another pregnant woman. My mom said that they all looked so happy together, so she turned around and never spoke to my father, never revealed my existence to him. Only years later, after she revealed his name to me, did I look for him. I found out he had 2 daughters, my half-sisters, so I reached out to Hannah first, wanting to get to know their family situation. I was curious about my other family. I wanted to reach out to Lilly too, but you rebuffed my few attempts to contact you."
Jake smiled at Lilly, who turned a bit red in embarrassment. Yeah, back then, Hannah was kind of talking all over about you, and it just annoyed me so much. Sorry." Lilly apologized. Jake waved his hand.
"It's okay. I'm just happy we all get along now." "So that doesn't necessarily mean your dad cheated on your mom back then, right? I mean, he said he was single."
Richy carefully approached the subject again. Jake shook his head.
"Assuming you are right, it would not make any sense for Nathan Donfort to leave my mother so suddenly, especially since she said they hit it off quite well. I think that he was in a relationship with Hannah and Lilly's mother, had just got into a fight with her, probably went to the festival to distract himself, and when they had a heart-to-heart talk on the phone, he patched things up with her, and then left my mom. That also explains your mother's reaction earlier."
He looked at his sisters, and they lowered their heads, realizing that Jake's assumption could be the only logical explanation of what happened.
"Looks like you're right, Jake."
Richy scratched the back of his head.
"I'm sorry all this is happening right now."
He was careful not to look at Lilly, who now realized the gratification of her actions. "Oh, God, what have I done?" She covered her face with her hands.
"Yeah, that wasn't your smartest move, Lilly."
Richy coughed before mumbling the word, "again." "I just make things worse without thinking about the consequences of my actions, don't I?" She started to sob. Hannah went to her little sister to comfort her, and Jake stood up from his position, looking more determined.
"What has been done is now in the past. Our family problems can be solved later, but right now we need to focus on saving Leah."
Lilly wiped her tears away quickly. "You're right. You're absolutely right. But before we start, I have to call Mom and apologize to her for being so inconsiderate. I also have to apologize to you, Jake. I have put you in a difficult and embarrassing situation earlier. Please believe me, I was merely trying to defend you. I meant no harm. Lilly looked at Jake in his eyes, who just smiled a little at her.
Aside from Leah, no one has ever defended me that much before.
He clumsily patted Lily's head. Lilly hugged Jake, followed by Hannah, who didn't want to be left out. Together they remained silent for a while, as they enjoyed their newfound bond.
Aw, you guys are so adorable together,
Richy commented with a grin while munching a second sandwich. Hannah wondered if Richy is going to catch them in embarrassing moments each time he eats a sandwich, or vice versa.
Well, I hate to cut our time short, but I have to go. Adios.
Richy thanked Hannah for the sandwiches, put on his Rogers Garage cap, and then headed for the door. Wait, where are you going? Hannah asked, perplexed.
You guys just focus on the plan. I have to do something real quick. Don't worry about me.
He smiled and waved before closing the door behind him. Once the door was shut, his smile disappeared, and instead, his face had a look of serious determination. He took out his phone and then walked alone through the streets of Duskwood.